Answer your questions. You asked me a couple of questions. Crazy Bex says she wants to know more about kangaroos. Well, kangaroos. Okay, we don't actually have kangaroos in the backyard, if that's what you're thinking, in Australia. Um, Pretty much they're in the zoo, just like in America or Britain or any of the European countries. Um, yeah, so sorry to disappoint you guys. There is kangaroos, but they're more out in the countryside. You have to go like pretty far out. I'm like near the city, so obviously the kangaroos have been scared away. But there used to be kangaroos across from the other side of the river where I live, but apparently the dogs attacked them all and killed them. So that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, so yeah, there's not as much kangaroos as around as a lot of them are just in the zoo or out in the country. Um, System F writes, I have a question. I think I'm right in saying that Christians believe the world started 2,000 years ago. How many Christians actually believe that um, that dross when science destroys your claim? System F, I'm not sure of any Christians. I've never heard a Christian say that they believed the world started 2,000 years ago. Yeah. I think some Christians believe it started 10 or 20,000 years ago, and they're called creationists. And then you've got the evolutionist Christians, which believe that, that it started like 10 million years ago or billions of years ago. So you've got one side of the Christians that believe in dinosaurs and the evolution, and then you've got the others that believe that God created the world in 7 days. I personally don't know what I believe in that sense. I'm open to both theories. Pope John Paul II says, as long as you believe that God created the earth, it doesn't matter if we evolve or if we just came about from Adam and Eve. That's not really relevant. What matters is that God created the earth. The Big Bang Theory just doesn't, make sense. Like, how could you have a bang and then just the world just come out of that? It just doesn't make sense, because science shows us that everything has a cause and effect. So to have an effect without a cause, in terms of the Big Bang, it doesn't really support its own. It doesn't support other scientific claims about causality. Yeah, so hope I answered your question. Stargrave wrote, is God watching you when you masturbate? If he's watching, does that make him a bit homosexual? Well, Stargrave, I know this is a joke, but I'm going to answer it properly. God does watch you when you masturbate. God doesn't approve of masturbation. He's not homosexual because he watches you. Homosexual means to be attracted to the opposite sex in a sexual way. Homosexuality is to be attracted to the same sex in a sexual way. To watch someone masturbate and to be attracted to them is two different things. So yeah, God does watch you when you masturbate. That's not what your genitalia was created for. It was created for procreation with a woman in marriage. That was what it's for. It's just like saying, you buy a boat and you put it in the yard. Why shouldn't you put it in the water where it belongs? So that's, yeah, but he's not homosexual at all. He doesn't like homosexuality at all, because it's sort of, it doesn't make sense. Sex was designed to create children in marriage, and so you can't really have, like, see, the wife represents the church and the husband represents Jesus, and Jesus gives himself to his wife, the church, freely, totally, fruitfully. And a man can't give himself totally to another man because he can't receive him with a baby, and can't really receive him. Like, the woman actually opens herself up to the man and receives him. It just doesn't work the same with a man and a man. And also, so just homosexuality doesn't make sense. You don't even have to be a Christian to see that it doesn't make sense. People say it's love. People say as long as two men love each other. But what is love? There's three words for love. There's agape, which is the sacrificial love. There's eros, which is the sexual love, and then there's philia, which is the friendship love. So to say two men love each other, they can get married. Which love are you talking about? Eros, philia, or agape? And then you have to understand what love is. God is love. So he's the absolute truth. He's the absolute love. So without him, you can't have this sort of relativity, and the love that's subjective. So if a man loves another man, that's subjective truth, because it's not from objective God outside the universe, so to speak. So for a man to say I love a man, it doesn't really work. It doesn't really match up. He can like a man, which is eros, sexually attracted, but that's not genetic. Homosexuality isn't genetic. A lot of psychologists reckon that, well, as Christian psychologists believe that men have sex with other men in order to feel that love and affection and identity that they didn't get from their own fathers. There's no genetic homosexual gene. There's no, it's not. There's no scientists can't say that homosexuality is genetic or we're born with it. That's just, it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't match up, because there's people who have been homosexual and now happily married for 10 years. There's one woman in America. She's been happily married for 10 years and she was a homosexual. And there's another man who's getting married and he's been homosexual all his life. He was raped as a boy. And so there's a lot of claims that refute homosexuality is genetic. So there's no real grounds for homosexuality at all. You can't say that it's love, because you don't know what love is. You have to go back to the Greek definition of love, and you have to go back to God, who is love. So I hope I've answered your question, Stargrave. You guys have any comments? If you agree, disagree, let me know. I'll see you guys around. Bye.